I'm Lindsay of GIngercake Patterns, and today I'm going to show you how to make this fabric headband. It's a nice easy project, shouldn't take very long, and it's so useful to have a headband to put in your hair when you're having crazy hair days like I have all the time. So the first thing we're going to do is gather our materials and begin. The first thing you're going to do is select what fabric you're going to use. I would suggest using a pretty lightweight cotton so that it folds easily and kind of lays a little flatter. You can see this one I was just wearing is a nice, really lightweight, simple cotton. And you're going to cut a piece that is 16.5 by 6 inches. Feel free to mess around with that width if you want something more narrow or even something wider. This is a good width for me and my curly hair, but you might find you like something smaller. And then the other piece of fabric is going to be 12 inches by 4 inches. And then you're also going to need a piece of elastic that's 8 inches long. That's a lot longer than you need, but it just gives us some good room to play with. And you need a nice big safety pin, and of course your sewing scissors. And then you're going, once you have all these things gathered, you've chosen your fabrics, we're going to go over to the sewing machine and we're gonna press in 1/4 inch here on both sides, and then press again here, another 1/4 inch. Okay, here I pressed a 1/4 inch and then a 1/4 inch. It's actually maybe even a little bit less than a 1/4 inch if you look, but that's about what you want to do, just to get a nice narrow hem. If you have a rolled hem foot on your machine and you're comfortable using that, this would be a great application for a rolled hem foot. Now we're going to go to our machine and stitch this hem down on both sides. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my machine and set it to its longest stitch. This is not my regular machine, but it is right here to the 10. So I put it on the 10, and then I sew right across. Like this. And you can see it already kind of gathers, but I'm going to go ahead and gently pull these threads and make this really nice gather, okay? And then do the same to the other end and gather. And so both ends of your piece look like this. Okay, this is what the piece that's going to go around the top of your head looks like. And I went ahead and pressed the two ends with my with my iron, just to get them to lay nice and flat and be easy on the next step. Okay, then you're going to take your other piece, the 12 by 4 piece, and fold it in half like this, and we're going to sew along here to make a tube. Okay, here's the tube that I just sewed. This was the 12 by 4 piece, and I sewed along the raw edges. And here's a little trick I want to show you. You take it over to your ironing board and just press out half of that seam along the edge. See how this is what it was like, and then I just pressed out half of it like this. And this is so when you turn it inside out, you can that center seam is nice and flat for when you press it down the center. This is my tube turner. I think it's from Dritz, and I really like it. You can also just do this by hand. It takes a little longer, but it's also very easy. Isn't that cool? It's kind of like tube turning magic right there. And now I'm going to just press it. I'm going to go over to my iron and press again. And because I did that half seam out, you can see the seam is already pressed out flat in the center. And I'm just going to press it nice and flat like this over with the iron, and I'm going to take these two ends and fold them under about 1/2 inch like this and press that down too. Okay, and I'll be right back to show you what that looks like in a second. Okay, now the tube is pressed with the seam down the center and the ends are pressed under about 1/2 inch on both sides. Now take a nice sturdy safety pin and attach it to the end of your elastic. Insert it inside the tube and use that safety pin to help guide you can kind of feel the safety pin with your fingers and guide it all the way to the end of your piece here. Actually, we didn't want to go quite this far. We want to keep it about like this. See this end right here? Now take this end of this piece, which I didn't clip those threads because I gathered that stitch, and we want to put the top with the side of the tube that does not have the seam. So this is the right side of the headband and the right side of the tube, and we have the elastic right here at the end, and we stick this in. We can cut off these threads, or you can try to stick them in there. Okay, can you see what that looks like there? This is the elastic inside the tube, the seam is back here, and this is the front side. And try to make sure that, there we go. See how those are laying nice and flat? Okay, now we take a pin and hold this all together. And over at your machine, so right across this end here, right there. And then we're going to finish it up. Okay, so right now your headband should look like this. And what we want to do is pull, actually it should look more like this. And you want to finish pulling that piece of elastic through the tube. This kind of gathers up this fabric down here. So it looks like this. And remember, on purpose we made this elastic a little longer so that it is very easy to work with. So I'm just gonna tuck this in here. Now I like to try on my headband before I finish it. If you're giving these away as a gift, I would say the standard would be about you want to pull it through about 2 inches or 1.5 inches, 1 3/4 inches. And just take the end of the thick part and you're going to put it on top right here. So the seam side of the headband is underneath. That goes with the wrong side of the top part of the headband, and the elastic is underneath too. This will give you this nice finished edge of your headband, even though this is like below your hair. And everything tucks in. Don't be afraid to tuck it in there pretty good so you have plenty to work with. And pin it, or you can use a safety pin if you're afraid of stabbing yourself, because I always like to try on my headband before I finish it. Okay, I think this is going to fit just fine, but a tight headband, it always gives me a headache. So there we go, it feels good. Obviously I would look in the mirror and make my hair look a little bit better, but this feels good. And now is the time to go ahead, and I'm just going to sew across this seam right here. Sew across and hold so it holds everything together. Okay, it's all sewn together and it fits my head. And the last thing I'm going to do is just trim off this extra bit of elastic. And all I do is I just kind of push back the fabric, and then I carefully just trim it off. Now, you can experiment and find ways to really hide all of that. I found this was the easiest and fastest way, and I don't really care that a little bit of it is showing on both ends And there is my headband. I think it's going to be so nice to really fix all my crazy hair days this spring. So I hope you get to make one and share some with your friends.